Okay, I'm recording some of my thoughts on the current COVID-19, mainly because, it does cause a lot of anxiety. So I look at the situation, try to analyze what is going on, and consolidate some of my thoughts on what is real and what is just imagination. Because there are a lot of people who say that all these lockdown measures is to eliminate the virus from society and they will never likely get infected. But somehow or other, I don't think the logic is that simple. So let me explain. First, the characteristics of the virus. It is very infectious, even more infectious than the flu. Secondly, people can shed the virus even before they exhibit any symptoms, which is quite a unique characteristic of this virus, at least that's what I read. And thirdly, they have this category called asymptomatic or maybe even mildly symptomatic people who catch the virus and go through the infection without much problem or don't even know that they are infected. So these are the unreported cases, and we'll never know until we get enough antibody tests. The fact is there are currently 4 known mild coronaviruses circulating in the human population: 229E, NL63, OC43, and HKU1. There are also 2 coronaviruses that have entered the human population, SARS and MERS, the original SARS, which were much more lethal than the current coronavirus, and they were detected early and contained in a small region. So they responded very well to the lockdown measures and they were eliminated from the population. The 4 known mild coronaviruses are thought to be remnants of past pandemics in the very distant past. They have managed to mutate down to a milder version and now just nuisance cold viruses that affect some people, but they are all mild now. The important thing to note is there are coronaviruses that are believed to have caused pandemics in the past and are lingering still in the human population. Now, one thing about COVID-19 that makes it different from the original SARS and MERS is that COVID-19 has managed to break out and spread worldwide, where SARS and MERS were contained in a small region where the lockdown worked superbly. Now, I've also been reading about this random antibody testing that's been going on in some countries that have shown that it's very likely that the unreported cases out there could be up to 10 times more than what is reported. Now, let's come to Malaysia's case. Here in Malaysia, we seem to report about 50 new cases a day averaging. That would mean that there could be up to 500 new infections every day in Malaysia. I believe that these are mostly around the main city, Kuala Lumpur. So given that Kuala Lumpur has a population of about 2 million and without a vaccine, we need about 50% of the people with antibodies in KL. That would mean, let's say the number of cases in Malaysia is 500, but 300 new cases are in KL. So if you divide 1 million by 300, that will give you about a long time, 9 years for us to reach herd immunity if a vaccine doesn't come. Okay, that's a very long time. Lockdown measures are being eased in the whole of Malaysia, but I'm taking the average of 500 to remain about the same. Here we are lucky. Here in Malaysia, our death rate is in the single digit, and we don't have overwhelmed hospitals. So I believe we can safely, slowly ease the lockdown, and the cases should remain about that, but not get rid of it altogether. This means wearing of masks, social distancing, no crowds, washing your hands. It's going to be mandatory for a long, long time. Maybe some restrictions on travel also. I'm not sure how the government is going to proceed. To me, that is the simple logic I use to ease my anxiety about the current MCO and lockdown and the spread of COVID. Now you must think that in the US, even though the flu has got a vaccine, has got some really effective drugs that work against it, like Tamiflu, there are still, I saw the statistics. In the last 6 months, there have been an estimated 24,000 to 64,000 deaths in the US alone. I expect that eventually COVID-19 will follow the same path. Even if we get a vaccine, but hopefully we will get a vaccine that can return us back to normal life, and some really effective drugs that are just as effective as the flu drug are for the flu. We get something for the coronavirus, but that's all very iffy. Okay, now talk about the anxiety issues that this causes. I know some people, they get very OCD about this now, but really slowly I think we will have to return to normal life, safely of course, very slowly. In conclusion, I follow this therapist called Katie Morton on YouTube. Lately she had a couple of videos about her situation in lockdown and actually breaking down and crying. To me, this is a bit telling on the current situation, how it can affect people mentally. And to all the people who are mentally anguishing about the current situation, let me say that my belief is you may or may not be able to stay uninfected, but it's no use stressing about it because it's not a lethal disease in Malaysia. If you're young or even if you're old, you don't have any comorbid diseases like hypertension, heart problems, diabetes, and it's also, of course, it's a good time to stop smoking. With that, I wish us all well. You can hear my neighbor playing mahjong, so stay safe.